Welcome back
Welcome back. Yes.
to Lobby Banter.
Yes, we have finally come up with a name. We decided on that, so...
We figured we are in a lobby and we banter all the time, so why not?
Yeah.
So how's it going, Trevor?
It's going good. It's going good. Just cold. Super cold.
Very cold. Very
Yes.
cold. We got a lot of movie news.
Yep.
A lot of stuff going on this past week. Not nothing too crazy, but fun stuff. So
Yep.
You want to lead us in?
Yeah, sure. So to get things started, we've got a new Star Trek movie. It's work. The director is Toby Haynes.
Okay.
And his biggest project he's done was he directed the Andor series on Disney+.
Oh, which was really good, I heard. I haven't
Yes.
seen it, but it was really good.
It was fantastic.
Nice.
Really, really good. So it is described as an origin story set decades before the 2009 Star Trek film.
So Chris Pine is not in it then?
Maybe like a younger version.
We
but
don't
no.
know. Okay.
But yeah.
That's still exciting. So
It's still exciting, and I'm going to come right out of the gate. I've never seen a Star Trek movie.
yeah, though I've
Yeah.
seen one. I think there's a very hardcore series. If they love it, if you love it, you love it. That's all.
Okay.
That's what I've known about it. I've seen a few of the TV shows.
Okay.
I've watched a few of those. My parents were definitely Trekkies.
Okay.
So, and I think I watched the first 6 seasons of the original too, which is an interesting thing. But it's got a huge following. I'm sure it'll do well.
Yeah.
And I think when was the last one? It was probably been 10 years, maybe.
I think so, something like that.
So, yeah.
I remember I was in the same room with William Shatner.
When?
About 5 years ago.
Really?
Yes. And he was talking about it, and he was like, he didn't really enjoy the newer movies and the way that they've gone with the franchise.
Really?
So I'm hoping that he'll enjoy this.
I wonder why. I thought they did a good job with them. I don't know. I didn't hear too many complaints, but
Yeah.
it's William Shatner, so
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah? What were you there for?
It was at the Chicago Comic-Con. So
Nice. He was talking to some crowd.
it was just in this back room that
You were in a back room with William Shatner?
I was in the back room with William Shatner. Yes.
That'll be the title right there.
Yes.
Trevor in the back room with William Shatner.
No. He was talking to there's just this room with a bunch of people that had VIP tickets.
Oh,
And,
okay, cool. Yeah.
I was
Nice.
able to get in because I worked at the booth and all that. So,
William
yeah.
Shatner's he's pretty famous too.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Was that him?
Ooh. I don't know. It was William Shatner.
Okay.
Or
And by met, I mean been in the same back room as.
okay. I have met I believe I don't want to mess up her name.
I met Carrie and I went to Las Vegas and they had a UFC event and they had this thing for Expendables 3 and I met the boxer Victor Martinez, I believe, or Victor Ortiz, and then Dolph Lundgren was one of the speakers there, which is pretty cool. And then the guy Carrie was willing to go because the guy from Twilight was in there. I think it's not Jacob or not Team Jacob or
Edward.
No,
Yeah.
neither one of those guys. It was the other guy in the house. So
Okay. But no, I think probably the most famous person is either Shatner or Ming-Na Wen.
from where?
She is Fennec Shand in the Star Wars universe. I believe she voiced Mulan.
Oh, okay, that's huge. Yeah.
She was in One Night Stand, Final Fantasy, The Spirits, that movie.
The Spirits with okay,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
nice.
The Street Fighter movie from '94.
Okay.
So,
Oh man,
Yeah.
with Van Damme.
yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So,
That's pretty cool.
I was able to meet her and Clark Gregg, who played Agent Coulson.
Oh,
in
really?
Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
met-
real popular. He's in he's in all the big films too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I was able to meet them
Pretty cool, yeah.
at the same time, which was really cool. So
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Star Trek though, good for them. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they it's Paramount, right? I think they're
Yes.
Paramount,
Yeah, they
so
are. Yeah.
that's one of their main. Maybe announcing that'll help them figure out the sale because don't they have a sale? They're trying to figure something out. I know a few people. I think that I saw Skydance Entertainment was looking
yes.
into it. You
Yes.
know, so I think there's going to be some action this year with one of those guys.
does Warner? No, Warner Bros. Doesn't own Paramount. No.
No, but what's the other big Warner Brothers news you said?
Big Warner Bros. News. Tom Cruise has signed on with Warner Bros. to direct movies and star in movies.
You know,
he will produce them. He has his own lot at Warner Bros. now.
I love Tom Cruise. I'm sorry, I hate saying that. I don't he is that good.
Yeah.
And he's been that good forever. It's
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, he's A-lister. He is the epitome of being an A-lister for 40 years now, I mean, you don't even know half the movies from back in the day.
Exactly,
Know. But I mean, just Top Gun Maverick, the Mission Impossible series. I didn't even see the Mummy. Was it Mummy Returns that he did? But I think it's cool that he's that big where he could say, "Hey, I don't need one specific studio. I'm going to play around with everybody a little bit."
And this is exactly what Warner Bros. Needed.
Yeah.
Warner Bros. Is in such a bad spot right now with bad executives and just putting out relatively bad movies over the course of the past few years.
Yeah.
Not many actors want to work with Warner Bros.
I can see that. I can see that.
So,
wasn't Christopher Nolan, does he have a deal with Warner Brothers? Or he did.
I think he did.
But he backed out, I think.
Maybe,
or he's waiting. It's one of those things, like you said,
yes.
where there's little,
Yeah,
So good for that. I mean, did we know what it's about yet or no?
No, everyone assumes right now that this next Mission Impossible movie is going to be his final one because he does have this contract with Warner Bros.
Final Mission Impossible?
I think so,
Okay,
yeah. So
I think was it 9? I don't even know.
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, I think it's a good series. I think it's done well. The last one, I think, struggled. I was expecting more from it just because of the Top Gun Maverick, But yeah, that's, good for him. It's Tom Cruise. He can do what he wants. You know, he calls the shots. He's one of those guys where it's, hey, I'm Tom Cruise. We're doing it my way, and that's it. You can be director, sure, but I'm the real director. It's kind of like and I like that because I always found this fascinating with Clint Eastwood was always the guy he's writes, directs, and acts. He says screw it, I'm gonna do it all myself. I don't need anybody else. I'll figure it out. And he's done it over and over again. So it's kind of that one-man show where, which is can kind of seem off-putting to some people for one guy to be in control of everything. But it's Clint Eastwood for a reason. It's Tom Cruise for a reason. You put your, Clint Eastwood has been okay the past couple of years, but he's also 90 years old. So give him a break. But yeah, good for Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
What else we got?
So up next, our final two pieces are with Disney.
Yeah.
Right? First one we're going to talk about.
The one I told you about first, by the way.
Yes.
I beat you to it.
I woke up to a text yesterday morning at 1:30 in the afternoon saying that they're making a Mandalorian movie, and I freaked out.
I think I just said Mando. I said Mando movie.
Yes.
I said Mando movie. And Mando's so cool. For me, it's I only saw the first season, but I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch the rest, especially before the movie too. It was just that fun and that good.
Yes.
And
they need this. They really need this. Season 3 definitely struggled.
That's what he said. Yeah.
It wasn't the best story, and it really lost a lot of fans' interest, and it lost their respect in the Mandalorian series. I didn't enjoy it as well as the first two seasons. First two seasons, fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But I think what they're doing here with doing a movie instead of a season 4 is awesome.
Huge, yeah.
All right, they're writing the Pedro Pascal, him being top of the line, like everyone loves Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he's huge right now.
He's huge right now. So them doing a movie with him as the main character.
He's in like 4 different movies. Is it Last of Us?
That show.
Mandalorian. He's in another one I've heard too.
Yeah. So he's doing a lot, and he's got a lot of star power behind him right now.
Yeah.
So I definitely think this is a good thing, and with this, they're going to be able to get Star Wars back into the box office before 2026. Hopefully, this movie might also be coming out in 2026. We already know that there's
2026? Oh, man.
There's
a 2 for what?
There's 2 coming out in 2026 and 1 coming out in 2027.
So nothing this year, nothing next year for Star Wars?
Nothing. Unless this Mandalorian movie, because they have a year.
They maybe push it out to next year, next Christmas, maybe. But I think that's good, though. I think Disney has realized some stuff, and I think it's good that they're being patient about it. They're building their stuff on Disney Plus, and they're going to push it out. I think it's going to do huge. I think it's going to be probably big old school Star Wars numbers. Let's hope.
I don't believe so. I think it's going to be better. I think it's going to have better numbers than Episode 9.
Yeah, was it the Rise of Skywalker?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a whole thing in itself. It had fun moments to it, but it was it's maybe it'll be the effect, the same effect that the '90s Star Wars had. Because the '90s Star Wars came out, everybody hated them. They ragged on them so much. Yes. But then over 10, 15 years later, people were like, you know what? They're not that bad. We kind of, looking back, it's like, oh, they were decent. They weren't as bad as people said.
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is my all-time favorite Star Wars movie.
Really?
I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but I love that movie.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? Phantom Menace was probably in my top 5.
Really?
You know what? Because I think it was the entrance back to Star Wars, and it was because my parents were big. And this is why Mandalorian. This is another reason why Mandalorian is so cool. My parents we're both big Star Wars, Star Trek nerds. My dad even read Star Wars books back in the day. And if you looked at him, you're like, this guy's not a Star Wars. You know? Yeah. But then he loved Westerns.
Okay.
So I remember watching Mandalorian, and there's one episode, I mean, there's multiple episodes, but one really like, this is a space Western.
Yes.
Like, my dad would love this, you know? So, but growing up, Star Wars was huge, and then this Phantom Menace was like, oh, this is my first kind of Star Wars, you know? So the pod racing, I don't care what you say, pod racing is cool, okay? Pod racing is the best. The Nintendo 64 video came out, was amazing. I don't care. Pod racing, the best. And over, I mean, and then the Duel Fates.
Duel Fates, best scene.
One of the best scenes, maybe in all of the series. I want to, you know, it's up there. It's definitely up there.
Debatably, the best music comes from Phantom Menace.
Huge.
Like, fantastic music. Really, like, the Phantom... Yeah. Darth Maul is the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is top notch. Yeah. But like I said, I think they're gonna do a good job with this. I think they've really kind of sat back and said, "Hey, we got to figure some stuff out and ease people into what we want to do." You know, and I think having the series there is just gonna amplify people going to the theaters too. So.
Yes.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. I was excited to hear Mando news.
And it's going to push forward the story a lot more too, because we already knew that there was going to be a movie, but it was going to be an Avengers kind of style movie with all of the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, I mean,
coming together as one.
It makes sense if they want to do that.
Exactly, but I don't know if this is going to be that or if they still have that planned.
Well, this is also like I didn't see Solo. What was the other one that was another independent? The most recent Solo movie, and then Rogue One. I love
Rogue One,
but Solo got some bad rap. But then after a while, people like, you know what? It wasn't that bad.
No, it's not too shabby. I enjoyed it when I first watched it. Gosh, I was young. I was young when I first watched that. Yeah. All right. And
I mean, Trevor and I's taste in movies are very different too. Sometimes, you know, I like everything, but I tend to kind of steer myself to, you know, pre-2000 for some reason, and kind of different stuff. But so I don't get caught. And there's so much out right now where it's like, what do you watch? You know. So I'm trying to get through more of the classics and then get back into the newer ones. But I definitely like Solo. I don't know why I didn't watch it, but it's definitely been on my list of like I need to finally watch it. You know, It's a Han Solo movie. You know, I love Rogue One. I did watch Rogue One. I love Rogue One. Rogue One is probably one of my favorite Star Wars movies. It's a little bit different. That's why
second favorite. That's my second favorite Star Wars movie.
I had such high hopes for The Creator that came out this year. The Creator was a sci-fi movie done by the same people who did Rogue One, and it was okay, but just the story wasn't there for it. But anyways, more news. What else we got?
Final thing from Disney here is the Marvel shows Disney buying everything. They are now canon in the MCU. So the Daredevil show, the Luke Cage, the Iron Fist, and the Jessica Jones show.
Which means they can all go into one big movie.
Exactly. Yeah, the Defenders, because they already had a show. They
did.
They had the Defenders show.
Did you watch all those? Did you watch?
No.
I watched Daredevil. Was excellent.
I watched the first season of Daredevil, and I got super busy, and I couldn't finish it, and I kind of forgot to. My mom and stepdad, I put them on it. They absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I watched the first half season of Iron Fist and of Luke Cage, and I didn't really finish them. So.
Yeah. No, I watched Daredevil. I watched The Punisher too.
Okay.
But I mean, it'd be cool. I'm excited to see those characters on the big screen. You know, that'd be cool if they can find a nice way to get that back in. Because I mean, Marvel's got to figure something out. I mean, everybody's talked about it forever, and I also think it's. How are you going to top Infinity War? How are you going to top it? I mean, Infinity War came out, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
5 years ago?
5 years ago now.
I mean, that's not that... I mean, we had COVID, so, that's not that long ago. And it's, it's like, you can't take something that was built over 15 years and then go, hey, we're going to try to restart it and get the same result. You know, they built... And back to Mando, I forgot, directed by Jon Favreau.
Yes.
Which is, if you don't know this, Jon Favreau is the one who started Iron Man. He's the one that got Robert Downey Jr. back into Iron Man. Iron Man was a huge success, and it kicked off the whole superhero. I mean, you're talking Jon Favreau. So if there's anybody I trust to do that, it'd be him. He did it one time already. He says, hey, guys, I've done this before. Now, I don't know how involved he was towards the whole run of the Avengers.
He really stepped off, I think, after Iron Man 2.
He was also acting in them as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, he was around. He wasn't just disappeared. But he kicked it off, So maybe with his vision to start and say, hey, guys, here's what I'm thinking, they could have a good run, which would be huge, And, we as audience just have to be patient sometimes. We just gotta say, hey, breathe. Watch a couple here and there, and just hope that it builds into that, room full of people in Infinity Wars screaming when Captain America picks up the hammer. Like that excitement wasn't built over 6 months. Oh, I saw this trailer for this movie. That excitement is built over years.
I think in my lifetime, there's been very few of those moments in movies.
Yeah.
It was...
They take time.
The most recent was Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
Awesome. Infinity.
But also,
Endgame.
And so you got Peter Parker from 2001 was the original. That was my Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like that's how long it's waited. That's how exciting it was. But then you said Infinity War, Endgame.
Endgame. Yep. And then I don't really think maybe Star Wars. Like the only really big one with Star Wars was when Lando came back in Episode 9.
Okay, yeah.
That was like that.
That was kind of
in my theater. That got some reaction, but there was really nothing else throughout.
Yeah, and when you're building a world building like that, I wasn't involved with the Harry Potter or the Twilight. So I've only watched one. I've been forced to watch one. And they're popular for a reason. I'm not going to rag on them. They're fun, But I remember watching the last one, and spoiler alert, at the last one, everybody kind of dies, and I'm sitting there watching going, what's going on? But then everybody comes back to life, or it was a vision scene or whatever. But apparently, in theaters, it was nuts for like 2 minutes straight. Absolute chaos, absolute, just, the girls were crying, and then also okay, wait, everybody's alive, we're good, So I can see that was another moment, I'm sure, that built up over 5 years, So, but yeah, it's cool. I'm excited to see Star Wars really try to kick it back into gear. I just wish they would give us a Star Wars day,
Yeah.
A little local theater news. We have the same movies we had last week. Basic weekend. We got, this week we open up with Mean Girls, which should be fun. It's a musical by Tina Fey.
I don't think it's going to do well here. Like I said, I don't think it's going to do well. Musicals aren't doing good.
Wonka's doing okay.
Good because it wasn't promoted as a musical.
This one isn't promoted that much as a musical, I feel. I don't know. I think it's got a lot. It's predicting like 20, 30 million, But in my head, I was like, I could easily pack a theater every year on Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
Just let me play the original. I'll do it for whatever. I'm like, it's a missed opportunity for them. And everybody's seeing, it's not like everybody's seeing Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So just let them see it on the big screen one day a year. It'd be huge. May 4th, done. Done.
Yeah.
So.
And then that would be great. Ideally, what would happen is they would give us the first 6 movies and let us do a whole 24-hour-long thing.
That'd be fun to do. I don't know if people would watch it, but just anything. Give us something Star Wars, They are...
Nothing new. Nothing too new. Nothing too
Mando. They're giving us Mando, but give us
Mando, but none of the newer movies.
But also, going into Disney, they're re-releasing Soul, Turning Red, and Luca back into theaters, but they're all on Disney Plus, and I chose not to get them. I said, you know what, I don't think that's, no, we shouldn't have to sacrifice and go for content that's 2 years old that people have been on, kids have had it on replay for, months, So I went no with that. The other news that we had is Godzilla. Got moved up a week.
I believe.
I don't know.
29th. It got pushed up to March 29th.
And when this happens, it's kind of weird because as a moviegoer before owning a theater, you're just like, okay, when's it playing? Great, cool, But as the owner, you're like, hey, I got a schedule to figure out and promoting. So now and usually this happens. They chain happen. So Godzilla moved up a week, and then Ghostbusters like, wait a minute, we need to move up a week. And then another movie's like, hey, if you're going to move up a week, we're going to move up a week because they're trying to find the best time slot for the weekend. They want a big weekend. They want their own weekend. They don't like opening multiple things at the same weekend unless they're called counter programming.
Yes.
So
like Barbenheimer.
Like Barbenheimer, exactly right. And maybe that's what they should be looking for this year, saying, hey, what 2 movies are completely opposite of each other that we can smash together? I know last year the big one was after Barbenheimer, they're talking about Paw Patrol and Saw.
Yes.
They're calling it Saw Patrol. But I don't think we had any double features for that. No. But yeah, otherwise we're just cranking along. We got Wizard of Oz coming up soon, which would be cool to re-release 85th anniversary. But that's us here. But now review time.
Indiana Jones.
Or do we have any more news or no?
There's nothing right now other than Golden Globes happened.
Yeah.
What is it called? really not my A game today.
Had a little bit of costume reveal for Madam Web.
Yes.
And that's getting a little bit of hype, I feel.
They haven't done any promotion. They need to do more promotion. That movie is coming out within the next couple months, right?
Yeah. No, within like 3 weeks, I think. 4 weeks.
Yeah. Valentine's Day.
Correct, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out on Valentine's Day with Bob Marley, yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, they I don't know, Dakota Johnson's great, so I think that's good.
Yep.
It may look like another female power movie, which is fine if they do it right. You know, I think Marvel's... I didn't watch the Marvels. I didn't hear any complaints about it. So I don't think that is a problem, having an all-female or female leads in it. Mm-hmm. But it's got to be a good movie. I mean, people will watch anything if it's a good movie.
Yes.
You know, that's the problem. Yeah. And this kind of leads into Indiana Jones, too, where, I mean, they'll watch it, but there's parts of it that I was like, man, they could have done a little bit more, I felt, you know. And it's Indiana Jones, so you're going to commit to it. But what did you think? And we're talking about Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny.
Dial of Destiny, yes. So overall, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it was worth. Some of the characters were definitely annoying. And at times I was definitely confused on, especially towards the beginning, I was confused on whose side who was on and all that. So I don't know if that was just a me thing, like not following along all that well, but about halfway through the movie I was able to understand. But definitely the best part of that movie was the first 10 minutes back with the CGI.
I think it was 20 minutes is what they did.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
It's not my favorite part, but it's definitely like it would kind of bookend really well. Like the first 20 minutes were great. The last 20 minutes were my like amazing, you know. But you're right, in the middle it lacked a lot. I gave it a 7 as well, but it was just and I think I figured out why people. I don't think the goddaughter was annoying, quote unquote. I don't think the little boy was annoying. I think it was just some of the writing was weird. And like there's a scene, and I got to bring this up. There's a few scenes that I found kind of interesting. There's one where he has a bunch of bugs and spiders on him. And, like, the noise that it makes when he hits a spider off is like a squeaky noise. Yes. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, so, like, and some of the music wanted it to be like a fun adventure
like
kid
running through. Yeah,
it was just very like the music didn't fit with what we were seeing because you saw the bad guys just, you know, they would just shoot everybody.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, wait, you're killing this guy and this guy. Why haven't they just killed Indy? Like, you know, what's going on here? So like and it got very repetitive. Like after, like they find Indy, they chase him, Indy gets away. They find Indy again, they chase him, Indy gets away. They find Indy again on a boat, they chase him. And then he finds a way out of it, which is great, but it's like, wait, you're 70-year-old Indiana Jones, and, you know, in the blink of an eye, you've escaped these guys somehow. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and I love suspending disbelief. I will sit there and say, hey, you know, just like that first 20 minutes, we all knew that wasn't Harrison Ford, old footage from back in the day. We all knew that, hey, they had some computers, but we didn't care. It's like, hey, I'll buy it. You know, I'm in for it. I'll buy it. We're good. You know, we're not dumb audience. We'd be like, hey, we know what you're trying to do, and it worked out great. I felt it was a great scene. They worked really hard. You could tell. You know, they worked really hard on it, and I think it paid off. But then, and they tried to make the goddaughter, like they tried to make her like another Indiana Jones type person. But then, like, she kept on just trying to sell the artifacts.
Yes.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, you have no depth. You know, you're not really trying to. You were bad in being a bad person in the, you know, artifact world, but now you're slowly trying to become better. No, you still were like selling Indy out of the end. You know. So it's just a few things, and the little kid didn't bother me. I got used to him, and the first time I saw it, I was kind of, but the second time I was like, okay, I kind of like this kid. I see what they're doing. They're setting up the whole him flying a plane at the end. You know, I bought it a little bit. The bad guys were, you know, they were all Nazis. You know, which was
Indiana Jones.
Which was cool. I'm glad they went with Nazis again, but only the main bad guy was anything worth. You know, the other guys were fun. Like it was, I just if they spent more time cleaning up the middle, you know, I would have done a lot better and getting a little bit more between Indy and the goddaughter. That wasn't just her being, you know, snappy and rude to him or running away.
Yeah.
It was just like there could have been more there of like, because what it was is, I mean, like that was his, you know, one of his best friend's daughters, you know, and she grew up wanting to be like him, but that you didn't get that. You're like, wait a minute, you're like this new age, and I think that was the other thing too. Is like, wait a minute, we're looking at it from we're looking at it from people who've seen Indiana Jones from back in the day. You know, we're looking at Indiana Jones and his time would be the 40s, 50s, 60s, but this is like in the 70s, 80s almost. We're like, wait a minute. So in that time, that's maybe how they would act. You know, that's maybe how she would be going around places. But I think just when you get to the ending and you figure out, okay, they're going back in time. The goal is to go back in time. And actually, the Nazis' goal is to go back in time and kill Hitler because he thought he could do it better.
Yes.
That was the plot. He's like, I'm not going back in time to make sure Hitler doesn't die. I'm I'm German, so I'm going back in time to kill Hitler and do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, because the whole movie he's talking about, you know, you're lucky you won. You know, if I was, you know, you guys got lucky that time. You know, if Hitler screwed everything up. You know, so the whole plot is him going back in time. I'm gonna kill Hitler myself early and take over so we can win. You know. And then the big thing I caught on, like, it took me, I mean, like, they foreshadowed throughout the movie the Roman times and the Battle of Syracuse with Archimedes. But then once they're in that plane and Indiana Jones is like, wait a minute, you messed up your calculations. Because I was excited. I was like, oh, sweet, they're going back to, you know, kill Hitler. They're going to go Germany. We're going to see how it is, you know.
One big thing I was really hoping for and also wasn't hoping for was if they did go back in time to World War II, it would have been around the time of the third movie, and we would have seen a younger Indiana Jones and an older Indiana Jones.
I never thought that they could have done that.
They definitely could have.
And that would have been interesting. You know, I don't know how that would have went, but I would have been like, okay, cool, I'll buy it. Yeah. I'll buy it. You know, like I said, we'll suspend disbelief. You know, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't have a problem going, okay, I'll buy in. You know, that would have been fun to see. I wonder how they would have went with that. And I'm sure, like, they had, you know, I mean, I wouldn't call it a flop. I don't think it's fair to call it a flop. I know it did bad in the box office, but the budget was huge. It's Harrison Ford, last hurrah. I mean, it happened they were filming during COVID, so they had all that to work through and reshoots and all kinds of stuff. Plus, I know the CGI was expensive. They spent 20 minutes of footage trying to get him to look young, and they did okay. There's a couple scenes where I was like, there's one where he's
with the flashlight. I think with the flashlight when they first shine it on him,
that was
probably the worst CGI.
Through that. There was like the CGI I was okay with. The running on the train I was like okay, but then also the biggest thing for me was when he was actually 70 and he was moving around and like punching, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like I get it, you're Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, but you just ran down 4 sets of stairs across the street, and you're not tired at all, and you're 70 years old, and so I was like, okay, I wish they would have done a better job with that. But the ending though is where it really, really came home. It was just when they went in through that time fissure, right? They went through time fissure, and they saw the Roman warships. My head just blew. I was like, no way, they screwed up. They went 2,000 years in the past. But even then, it took. Sometimes it took me out of it. You see the arrows going through the planes and whatnot. I was like, oh, that's crazy, But then you see the bad guys, the Nazis. Like the one guy is shooting his pistol at the Trojan warships out the front. I'm like, what is going? Like, I feel like they didn't know what they were doing. Like, okay, we're here now. How do we kill the Nazis and make Indy live? And I think they could have came up with a better idea. I would have rather see the plane crash. Mm-hmm. Instead of the guy shooting at these Trojan warships, where there's like 100 ships in this video. There's 100 ships. He's got his pistol, and it's like you're not that stupid. Why are you making this villain that stupid? That took me out a little bit, but then I bought it. I didn't care. I mean, they find Archimedes, and he's got the watch, and there's a little bit of time theory in there that didn't line up properly. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, if he made it just for Indy to come back to save him, why isn't it completed yet? Or didn't he die? He died at the Battle of Syracuse.
He would have never been able to make it in the first place for him to come back.
Yeah,
it's very.
But I think that's all time travel movies.
Yes.
Because then there's also the theory the Earth is in a different spot it was 2,000 years ago in space. So it's like, how does that work? So, but it's fine. I'll buy into time. Back to the Future is okay with me. That's fine. I'll believe it. It's cool.
I still haven't seen those movies.
Maybe that should be next week. Maybe if we can find it. Back to the Future. Back to the Future is a perfect movie. Real close. The first one, real close to a perfect movie. Yeah, it's that good. It's weird because it's that popular and it's that mainstream. But it should be. It's that good of a movie. Back to the Future. So, but then, like I said, it was such good moments, and he's sitting there, and he's at this point, Indiana Jones has been shot once, beat up, and he's laying there, and he's like, I'm staying. He's like, I'm staying. This is where I want to be. 2000, and for him, I was like, yes, die there, stay 2,000 years ago. Like you've worked your entire life. You don't gotta. Your son is gone, I believe. Yep. Your wife is wanting a divorce. You haven't talked to her in years. You have nothing. You live miserable in this tiny apartment. Stay back in the past and at least give yourself a treat of knowledge, And then, instead of doing that, they go, the goddaughter just punches him in the face, and he randomly appears back in his apartment. I thought that was a little weak. And I was just like, oh man, like they could have done. Like I said, they were strong in a lot of parts, but then they were just weak in some other parts. Maybe I'm just being super critical. But overall, I had fun. Overall, I watched it. The rewatch was a blast. I've watched it twice now. And I think they did it justice. I loved, what was a couple of your favorite scenes? I got two. I love the rickshaw, because that's just like classic indie.
Yep.
But then riding the horse in New York again, I thought it was so cool. I was like, I'm glad they went back to his roots. He got on a horse.
We had to get a horse scene.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think it was great. And I think it was just, it was perfect for him. It was like, oh God, Indy's on a horse. That's what I want to see, So they had a lot of cool tie-ins, and they didn't try to push. They did a good job of not pushing the nostalgia button too much. Yeah. Like some people, some movies when they do that, it's just like, okay, we get it. Ghostbusters probably too much, maybe. What other one do you think just constantly just like pulls on those strings of like, hey, we can say these words and people will laugh because they know the old movie?
Star Wars.
There's tons, and they didn't do too much of that, I felt, unless I missed some of it, but it was just...
It was more with the music. It was more with the music that was it, but it was perfect.
I didn't like this.
It was separate. Music was one of my favorite parts about this movie.
The score, really?
I loved it.
I felt it didn't match the scene. Or I think they either went too violent for me with killing all those guys off for no reason, or they didn't match the... I don't know. I just felt like something was off there. I did laugh because the huge guy, I found out he's like 7'2". When he's driving that Cadillac, just looks silly. I was like, why does this look so silly? And I was like, oh, because he's 7'2". But then the way he dies, spoiler alert, is he gets handcuffed to the underwater in that grate underneath, and he's like screaming underwater, and then he just dies hanging out there, Yeah. So it was good. I mean, I'm glad. I think they're done, Luckily, I'm sure there will be a reboot in 30, 40 years with some other Indiana Jones, But no, Dial of Destiny. I liked how I liked the story they built. They did a decent job. They did a good job. Was it the best Indiana Jones? No. Was it? But like I said, it was fun. It was definitely fun.
It was the best way to end off his character.
Yeah.
Like they rounded up Crystal Skull, which is fine. Like they should have stopped at the end of Last Crusade.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people. I think it's tough for. I don't know if it's Harrison wanting to do it or if it's the studios when they have that power to just the name power.
Name power, money. Like, hey, how much do you want?
Like, they did do a couple callbacks instead of snakes. He was like eels. He's like water snakes. That was fun. Crawling through dark places. There was a lot to it. I'm glad. It was a good cap. And Harrison Ford is star all day long. I mean, he can still act. He still
is acting. He's not done acting yet.
I don't think he's ever going to be done. He's that good where it's. I think he definitely carried the movie. 100%.
He was definitely the best character out of the movie.
100%. The other guys were okay. I think there's no other star power. Oh no, you have Antonio Banderas on the Greek diving ship. So but he was only in there for 20 minutes.
If that.
So there's
They had Mads Mikkelsen.
Okay. Okay, that's who that was. Okay, he's pretty popular.
He's really good. I really enjoy a bunch of the stuff he's done.
He played a good role. He definitely did a great job. And I love. So my biggest thing with Indy, like the reason I attach myself with Indy sometimes is he's always the type of guy to just stuff happens to him and he figures it out. He goes, I don't care what's happening. I'm just going to get in this car and we're going to go that way because that's where I need to go. And then he punches, kicks people, runs people off the road along the way and hops on a train and, hey, boom, we're there. Cool. Which is, that's...
One thing I'm thinking about now that I didn't like was how little he used his whip.
Did he use it at all?
He used it to scare them.
Yeah, at the gun.
And
that's another scene that drew me out a little bit, where he's at the scene, and they have the dial there, and the Nazis meet the goddaughter's bad guys.
Everyone's fighting each other.
Everyone's there fighting each other, but it's like, why were they fighting each other? They didn't even know at the time. But then they all pull out their guns, start shooting at Indy, and what does he do? He ducks under a table. It's like, okay, now the bullets don't affect him, and nobody can just walk around and shoot him,
or just aim down.
Or just aim down.
Yeah.
So I feel like they cut it too easy on some of those scenes. But it's like I said, it's like, okay, he gets away, great. But it's just, if they had like...
It was chase after chase.
And it was, I wish they would have thrown a little bit more. I mean, they had a strong beginning and a strong end, which I think is what will carry that movie throughout the years, It's just that last scene and that first scene, So, and it's great. Indy, I mean, good for them. Good for Indy, So, I mean, that's our review on Indiana Jones.
Yep.
The Dial of Destiny.
Probably definitely the final Indiana
Final
Jones.
For Harrison, yeah,
See Harrison.
And you're talking, that's what, 50 years now?
Yeah.
Close to 40, 50 years, So good for him, good run on that. And good for him to be willing to do it. A lot of people aren't willing to go that far and say, hey, yeah, I will go through all the CGI work I'm sure he had to do, So I think it's good. Anything else? Anything else this week?
I don't think so. There's really not that much big news. I know next week, I figure next week we'll have a bunch of news.
Really?
I definitely think so. The SAG Awards will be over. We'll have a bunch of actors that people will be raving over and all that.
There was some AI news with that they're allowing some AI to go in the Screen Guild. Mm-hmm. So I mean, people are kind of upset about that. I don't know where that's going to take things. I wouldn't worry about AI. I think it's going to be there always, but I think people are always going to want the real thing. I think people are going to be like, hey, yeah, it's AI, okay, cool, but AI is going to be a great tool. AI is going to be a great tool for independents and young filmmakers to kind of fill in the gaps financially that they don't have. Mm-hmm. But once you get to it, nothing's going to replace a star. Nothing. You can't replace Tom Cruise. There's no way AI can do what Harrison Ford does. So I'm not too worried about that. We're going to decide on a movie for next week for our review.
Joker or Back to the Future?
I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. I think if you guys have any movies you want us to review, let us know. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to reach out.
Email us right here. I'm going to put it right here. I don't remember what it is, but it's right here.
Yeah.
So
thank you for listening.
Yes.
This is something that we've wanted to do for a while, and we do this all the time anyways. So we figured, let everybody else hear us talk.
Yeah.
So until next time.
All right.
See you. Thanks, Trevor. See you.
Thank you.
Yeah.